So we go back to the main issue and we see that Islam has given solutions. These solutions are practical solutions and they are the solutions, the only solutions that they can meet, that can meet the challenges and the threats facing humanity today due to the greed of a few percentage of people. Only a few families around the world who are controlling resources and peoples and nations and enslaving them and oppressing them. So Islam gives you the solution, Islam gives you the alternative, and this has been acknowledged to some extent by some financial analysts, as I told you, during this or in the wake of this latest financial crisis. They were wondering whether it's time to go back to the Quran, to the principles of the economic system, of the Islamic economic system, because it has what you don't, what the capitalists don't have. It forbids interest. If you wish to give loans, not with interest. Because a person who is coming to you and asking for a loan, this person, he wouldn't do it if he had the financial or the economic ability to avoid this. But he is in need. You're not allowed to get use of his need. Islam says that don't sell what you don't possess, and that was what they did. The houses were sold, and upon these loans, bonds were issued, and upon these bonds, people were selling the bonds in order to get more loans. So you're loaning, issuing bonds, selling the bonds, getting loans. You have this vicious circle, and once the buyer of the house is unable to pay anything at all, then the chain would fall. And that was the case in this latest financial crisis. And thirdly, Islam forbids those stock and share companies due to the purely Islamic point of view on how companies shall be built, on how the financial joining shall be formed. And once you contemplate upon the financial and economic situation of the world, you see that the biggest bloodsuckers of the natural resources of the world are those companies, the share and stock companies, who are operating internationally, globally, transnationally, and who are more or less set upon and over the so-called national governments. And inshallah we'll continue in the next time with more detailed information about the practical Islamic rules, practical ahkam sharia concerning ownership, concerning how to get wealth, to distribute wealth, how to work, and so on. So, can open the Q&A session now, inshallah. We have only 10 minutes. We can take 15. Yes,
question, or I mean a suggestion.
Yes.
Hence that if you look into the infrastructure that's installed in Muslim countries, it's directly or indirectly each and every individual is involved one way or the other in riba, capitalism, shares, and the system of capitalism, I mean. So how can a Muslim essentially say that we can modify the system, or we can somehow replace the existing system? Because if we replace it with the existing system, somehow we have to deal with you're dealing with other countries for your businesses, for your exports, and all that. So it's like we are too far away now. And in order to replace the existing system, that means that again there's a possibility that people will face calamities somehow. Their existing wealth or finances.
That's great, yes. It can't be denied that there have been made some sincere efforts to break this capitalist dominance upon finances and economics in the Islamic world. For instance, in Egypt during the 80s, several investment banks or investment companies were founded, and they were gaining a lot of popularity and, of course, revenues. I shall not exaggerate and say that these institutes or companies were purely and 100% Islamic, because they were not. But yet, they were the so-called Islamic alternative to the interest-based banking system. And when the government of Egypt realized that we are having a major trouble now, because two of the biggest investment institutions, Al-Rayyan and Assad, they were having 100, or they were, I don't recall if they were having 100,000 clients, both of them, or if they were supporting through their clients 100,000 families in Egypt. But I don't think it's a big difference between the two, the two things. Imagine 100,000. 100,000. The joint assets of the two investment companies were valued to almost 2 billion Egyptian pounds at that time. And 2 million Egyptian pounds, that was about 1 billion US dollars. You're talking about just two companies. So, of course, the regime didn't hesitate to make some crackdowns and yes, more or less resolve these two companies, and the calamities you were talking about unfortunately happened. Over one night, thousands of families realized that they had, at the best scenario, lost 70–80% of their assets over one night. So the question is quite bigger than me and you. It's not we as individuals who can or have the possibility to change the economic infrastructure in the Islamic world. It's not up to me and you. We can't do that. Okay, what option do we have? Well, the Islamic option is to act within the Ummah, within the Islamic Ummah, and together with it, in order to change the political framework that allows such infrastructure to exist. Because, let's say, if I wish to remove all banks, all interest-based banks in the Islamic world, which option do I have? Which option do I have? If I have money, what shall I do with this money? Where shall I save it? Or, even before talking about removing or not removing, can you remove it? Fortunately, we can't. We can't do that as individuals. But if the Ummah as Ummah acts and reacts upon Islam in the correct direction of establishing the political authority, the political framework which allows Islam to be implemented, Islam to be living as it was on the time of the Prophet ﷺ, then we will enjoy Ridwanullah Azza wa Jal, we will enjoy his mercy, we will enjoy living as, humans, living in dignity. We will enjoy spreading Islam, giving da'wah, and saving others from the same misery they are facing. Because we're not better than the Brazilians or the Cubans. I mean, they are facing the same misery we are facing. So it's our duty to save ourselves both from hell on this earth